This week's podcast is brought to you by Southwest Sanitation. Since 1967, the professionals at Southwest Sanitation have brought you reliable and honest service. We offer commercial, rural, and residential services, as well as roll-offs and portable toilets. Call your locally owned and operated neighbors at Southwest Sanitation for all your sanitation needs. 507-532-4500.
Welcome to the 12th edition of the Headlight Hot Seat. Today we are joined by Lyon County Commissioner, Mr. Rick Anderson. Thanks for joining us, Rick.
Yep, thanks for asking me, Per.
Let's start, let's let our listeners get to know you a little bit. Tell us about yourself and your family and everything about Rick.
Okay. Well, I'm born and raised in the Balaton area. My folks were there. In fact, right now we live on my family farm, which has been in my family now for 126 years. I graduated from Balaton in 1976. I went to Mankato State. Started there in September of 77. Graduated from there in December of 79 with a degree in natural resource management and a minor in geography. I was hired by Lyon County to be a parks worker February of 1980, and then on May 19th, I was promoted to the parks director for Garvin Park, and subsequently first the fairgrounds and in the design work of Twin Lakes Park. I held that position until I decided it was time for a different career change. I had worked at the park for 3 summers. I did my internship and practicum while I was going to college. So it just felt like it was time to do something different. In May of 1980, I married my lovely bride, Marla, who I went to school with for 2 years in Balaton. And then she moved over here to Tracy, and we were reconnected when we went back up to Mankato. A neighbor of mine went to Mankato, and a classmate of mine went to Bethany, and we hooked up again one night there. And then we started going out again, and that's where that took us.
The rest is history.
Yeah, there is. So then I've got 2 daughters, Christina and Megan. Started out in Balaton, of course. Came over to Tracy, and as much as I hate to say it, I was the deciding vote. I was on the school board that sent the kids over here. But I asked my youngest daughter one day, I said, if we had the opportunity to go back and have a school in Balaton, would you do it? She says, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So they're both married. I have them both close. My oldest daughter, Christina, is married to Greg Carlson, who is a voice that everybody's familiar with and sees
Absolutely.
around here. They have 3 boys, Nolan, Soren, and Bowden, who keep us very busy with activities, which is great. My youngest daughter is married, Megan, is married to Mike Borboom, who is the CEO of Borboom Ag Enterprises, just east of Marshall. They have 2 children, Braden and Finley, who attend Holy Redeemer School in Marshall. They're involved in activities that we love going. I've become a true hockey parent now.
Uh-oh.
So that's always fun. I'm thankful that they can broadcast them on their iPhones, that I can watch them at home. But it is great. It's a great sport to watch.
Especially live.
Yes, it
cool.
is. And, I started to become watching more pro hockey and
Yeah.
college hockey, and so it's great. Other than that, I think I've always tried to be involved. When the kids are growing up, I served 9 years on the Balaton School Board. I did 6 in a row, and then I skipped a year, and then I got reelected and did another 3. And then before I became a commissioner, I had served 5 years on the Custer Town Board as the treasurer. So it's always been something that I felt that you need to give back. So that's kind of where we've gone from there. Bear.
5 grandkids.
5 grandkids.
And in my notes, I included the Carlson boys because I know them better than your other grandkids. But what's that like? Just, kids these days are so crazy busy. Not just school, sports, extracurriculars, everything. And you want to be at everything, right? As a grandparent.
Well, as a grandparent, you try to be at everything.
Yeah.
But they've understood that Grandpa has a lot of meetings. But Grandma tends to make to more stuff than what Grandpa
sure.
does. So, which is fine. But they're always very appreciative because they do know when you're there.
Yeah,
So you
they
always
do.
get those hugs. So that's well worth it.
That's why you go.
That's right.
I mean, it's for you. It's you want them to win on their sports
Right.
or be the best at
Right.
FFA or 4-H. But I think generally you just want them to
Well,
be happy and active.
Yep. And that's just it. And they're all involved in 4-H. So we had two of them were up at State Fair this year. As came out in the local paper, Nolan was able to get into the ribbon auction, which is the first time a person from Lyon County with hogs has been able to get in there and talking with people up there, probably 20, maybe 30 years ago was the last one that got in. So we're pretty proud of that. He was also on the state poultry judging team, first year in FFA. So
Yep.
the success has been pretty sweet for those kids. So it's been fun to watch them grow, and they understand the meaning of losing because you can't win them all.
Well, that's the beauty of sports and any competition.
Yep.
When you're a teenager, you have to learn how to lose,
Yep.
and you have to win with grace and humility as well. And that's in this day and age, I see a lot of teenagers, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, got a little bit of an attitude with them, a little cocky, and then they get brought back down to earth. I mean, it happens at all schools. It's not
It
just
does.
here.
No, it does. So no, we've been very fortunate. So like you say, Grandpa doesn't make them all, but I do my very best.
Yeah, I'm putting together a little something on Nolan for 4-H week this week. I'm doing a story on the Busy Bees, their 100th year coming up
Yep.
next year. So I sat down with some of those leaders earlier this week and planning on getting Nolan back in there again. We highlighted him when we got state fair results, but I think he deserved a little bit extra mention because of what you said. The ribbon auction is incredible.
And he just doesn't quit growing.
Oh, what is he, 6'5" now?
Well, when he's standing next to me with his spikes on the football
Oh,
field,
my goodness.
he seems like he is.
You should put hockey skates
Yeah, I
on him.
know
See how we got an 8-footer there. Yeah, and I'm waiting for him to kind of fill out a little bit, like his dad.
So is he. So
is he?
He really can't understand why he eats and eats and eats and doesn't put any weight. Well,
Yeah.
just wait. You get done going up, it'll start coming out.
Yeah, the metabolism will slow down sometimes.
Yes, I
but
will.
I'd like to know his secret. So, a commissioner, as an elected role, of course, how do you keep winning? I mean, is it you're a pretty outspoken commissioner, and we'll get to a little bit of that later. But you've served a long time.
Well, I'm starting into my 15th year. I never knew how long I was going to run for, try to stay in. I think this last race was a fun race. It was fun to have competition. I've been lucky on a couple of them not to have competition, so that makes it a lot easier. But it makes you appreciate the job that you're doing and getting out and meeting with. I'm not able to get out to all the townships, but I try to hit every house in the city.
Yeah.
It's fun to reconnect with everybody in the communities and stuff again. So I don't know. During my time as parks, I had the opportunity to meet lots and lots of people. So people knew my face. It didn't hurt that I always got called Ranger Rick, so everybody kind of knew that. I still get called that.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's funny.
So it works out pretty
You've been
well.
called worse, I'm sure.
I've been called a lot worse, but that's just part of the job. If you're going to serve in the public, you're going to get called that. So
Yeah.
it's no big deal. But to me, you got to have pretty broad shoulders when you start doing these types
thick
of
skin,
jobs.
thick skin.
Yep. So
I'm with you on that one. I can relate. But when you talk about serving and giving back to your county, you could do it in other ways. Why take this role as kind of a target sometimes? And you question about levies and everything and decisions that you guys make.
I always had two things on my bucket list. Being commissioner was one of them. The other one I'll probably never get done because my wife won't let me. But
What you gotta divulge.
all right, I have every time I walk into that state capitol building,
Uh-oh.
I get tingles on the back of my neck, and I've always thought about running for one of the state offices, either Senate or the House.
We're breaking news here, aren't we?
Yeah,
No?
but I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's more fun to focus on the local stuff. Anybody that you talk to, especially when I talk with Senator Dames, as a former county commissioner, he says, really, at the county level is where you get stuff done.
Right.
So you're not going to make everybody happy, and we all know that. But if your gut tells you that it's probably the right thing, most people will probably go along with you on it.
So what townships do you cover in District 5, Rick?
Oh, I cover Shelburne Rock, Lyon, Coon Creek, Amoret, Monroe, Custer, and Shelburne.
You said Shelburne. Sodus.
Sodus was the other one.
Okay. You nailed it right there.
And then the cities that I've got would be Tracy, Garvin, Russell, Balton, Amoret, and Florence. And Amoret would be non-incorporated, but I still always count it as a city.
Yep. Well, when you say Garvin, the first thing that comes to mind for me is, besides a cool little town, is Garvin Park. And can you just put into perspective what they've done out there, the decisions that the board has made and the county in general to improve and update that park? It's incredible. I've told people every time I see them and they're looking for a place to hold an event, you got to go to Garvin Park.
Yeah.
The lower bowl there is just phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's come a long way, and I've been very fortunate in the fact that I was able to come in at a time when we were building a few of the shelters that were there, and the one upper campground, and then helped with the start of the new building, the log building for the warming house, and to see all that stuff change over has been kind of fun. The other thing that I don't think a lot of people know is that I sit on the state commission for Parks and Trails that gives out the money for all the improvements. So I've been an advocate at the state level for when the grant applications come in. I don't vote for them, but I give my input on them and stuff. So the applications that have been coming in have been scoring very high, and we've been able to do some pretty amazing things down there. So,
and it serves such a wide variety of people: horseback riders, campers, kids with that playground and the picnic shelter, just people looking for a family reunion, class reunion, just so many things that you can do at Garvin Park. It's just a great gem that we have here, and I hope it's appreciated too.
well, and it was always amazing, and you still hear it. Most people don't realize it's there.
I know.
That's the problem. That was
Yep.
always
That's kind of a good and
amazing.
bad thing, though,
Well, it
because you don't want it to be overrun, but you want it to be well used.
Right. And when you start doing all those big changes, sometimes you get that overrun. So then you got to be pretty careful and balancing all that stuff. So it gets to be pretty interesting
Well,
sometimes.
it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it is.
All right, let's get into the fun stuff here. Let's talk budget, Rick. So cities and counties and schools, they all go through this every year. Can you just take us through quickly what goes into planning the budget? Is it a year-round process? Is it something, okay, now we got to start talking, it's July or whatever. Now we got to crack down and start this process.
Well, especially for this year, we probably started a little early because we all knew that there was going to be some changes that were going to come down from the feds, and it always gets passed down to the state, and then it gets passed down to the local taxpayers. So we probably started talking about this probably first part of May, end of May.
And that's early.
Or it's early for us because we probably wouldn't really get into it till probably in middle of June, into July. And the process we've been using is that we usually have the chair and vice chair, along with the county administrator, will sit down, sketch out what we think we're going to need. There's certain things that we, as commissioners, we just don't know. We don't know salaries and stuff, so we leave that up to the administrator. But then we'll get into everything else, looking at it and stuff. We'll get a first flush of what all the items that each department are looking at, and then we'll see what that's going to be. Then the administrator will usually give us what that total ends up being as far as an increase on the levy. The other two parts of the levy that we have to look at, because it's basically split into four things: it's into the general government, road and bridge, health and human services, and then we have a bond that we put out, probably 2016, 15, when we did the addition on the courthouse.
Okay.
So those are the four big items that we have to deal with. So we usually wait for health and human services too to get their budget to us, and this year they started early as well. so that we knew, because that's where the biggest turn was going to be, that we knew coming from the feds and the state with everything that was coming down. So then we get to, because by state statute, we have to have a preliminary set by September 30th.
Right.
When we set that preliminary, those are the numbers that get put onto the truth and taxation statements that everybody will get, so that they kind of know where property taxes will be at the next year. When we had the first flush, we knew it was going to be close to 15%. We said, there's no way in the world we're going to do something like that.
Because of that sticker shock?
Yeah, sticker shock is terrible.
Yeah.
We've been very fortunate since I've been on the board. We've only had 1 year where we've been over 5%. And that was the year that we did the building, when we did the bonds. We had to do and there was a slight increase in health insurance that year that we did. So that was a 6%. So we knew that otherwise we've been in that 1.8 to 2.5.
Yeah.
Maybe 3. So we've been very fortunate that way. That's one thing I can say about the board. We want to keep it as low as we can, but do the services that we need to do that people are asking for.
That's a balancing act.
That's really
because you can't throw that sticker shock at people, especially in this day and age. Now we're looking at 9.9%. We got it under 10. That's the preliminary.
Yep.
We haven't certified it yet. That'll be in December, correct?
Right.
That's as you mentioned. That's the highest it's been in Lyon County, maybe
For
ever.
long,
I don't want to say ever.
Forever,
That's a
but for
big
long
word.
time.
Yeah. Ever since you served. When asked about consistent rising taxes and levies, how does that conversation go? I guess it depends on the question and the.
Well, and it does, but I think that you got to explain to them, and a lot of people don't understand exactly what goes into a budget and all the things that get caught into it. So trying to explain the health and human service side is always the hard one to do.
That's what I was going to ask. Is that the big ticket? Is
That's
that always the
big
one
ticket one?
Yeah.
Even though it's a small part of it, but it tends to be the one that has the largest increase usually. This year, we've been very fortunate too. We're a self-insured group. We're part of a pool that we started with 4 counties, and I think we're up to, it was 3 counties in our health and human services. I think we're up to 7 counties now in health and human services.
So why do you say you're lucky? Is that because you
we
have
se-
autonomy?
We self-insure. So what that means is that we take care of the bills ourselves,
Oh, okay. I
so
see.
that we don't see those heavy increases. So before this year, we had 1 year that we had to readjust. We had to raise the levy a little bit to cover some of that because we use our reserves a lot for that. And now we've had a bunch of stuff that's happened with employees where we've had some major medical issues. That we've taken a lot of reserves, so we just need to recapture some of that and bring it up. So we've been very fortunate for employees as well as for the taxpayers that we've kept the levy or the health insurance increase at 0. I think we did for 8 years. So most insurance companies can't say that they've go that long. So
No.
that's been one thing that goes into it. The shifting and some of the statutes that the legislature passed are a little ridiculous that we know that we're going to have to do. Are going to cost a lot of money. And some of the work requirements that are coming down from the Fed on Medicare and stuff is going to be an increase in the amount of time that's going to take for staff to do that. If you can find the staff to do it, that's the other problem.
I've covered a lot of meetings in my time in journalism, county board meetings, city council, school board, in different cities, Marshall and Tracy. I think everyone, and this is not an insult, every board needs a Rick Anderson on it. And I mean that as a compliment because if you just sit back and make your vote or whatever, you're not really doing the taxpayers a service. And you are fairly outspoken when it comes to things like the DNR, the state. Can you just tell me about, is that your personality when you're doing it for the taxpayers? You're asking the questions that need to be asked, but you're kind of holding their feet to the fire a little bit too.
Well, I tend to, I do. And I kind of enjoy that because they shouldn't be any better than anybody else. And especially lately with everything that's happened at the state level, there just needs to get to be some common sense and asking. There is no somebody once told me there is no dumb question, but if you don't ask it, you're never going to get the answer.
Right.
So I've learned after watching some of my predecessors that you just have to keep asking those questions and hammering at the point until you can get the answer that you're looking for, or hopefully that you're going to get. So yeah, I tend to be a little outspoken.
That's
I
okay.
think there's some commissioners that might get a little upset with me, but that's all right.
Well, and I think you've developed a little bit of a reputation because, like the board meeting today with XL coming in, and
Yeah.
you have that rapport with them, and maybe they're thinking, "Oh, I wonder what Rick's going to ask me. He's going to hit me with something I'm not ready for." But like I said, I think every board needs a voice like that.
Well, and you need if you're going to work with Excel, you need to go to the meetings that they're holding to get the information, so that you can ask those good questions. Because I've been dealing with Excel now probably for
Ever?
4 or 5. Well, no, 4 or 5 years probably, because I'm on a co-op, so I don't get to deal with Excel that much.
Yeah.
But when it starts dealing with the county, then it gets to be a little more interesting. So I've started talking with those. They come and show at our annual conference for the Association of Minnesota Counties. So I would go into their booth and I'd just sit down with them and start talking. We'd start talking energy and what we're going to do about it and how do we keep the rates down for people, or what's going to be the expansion here or there, and just to see what their feelings are.
Yeah.
So because it's going to affect everybody.
Yeah. Do you have a feeling that when these people from the cities or from XL or wherever, I'm not trying to rip on XL over and over again, but I'm just using them
Yeah.
as an example, that they don't fully appreciate what we are out here when it comes, and by that I mean ag land. Very, very important to you and to a lot of people here, but your voice is one of, I'm going to protect as much land as I can because we're kind of losing it and might never get it back.
Well, that's just it. Right now, there's a push in the state that try to take all this land out of production. Well, you've seen where the Department of Ag, the gal from Texas, who's the Secretary of Agriculture, says, we can't keep doing that. We need to do this. But I think with Excel, I think if you talk to those people individually off the record, they'll agree with you more times than not.
Yep.
But this is what the company's saying that we got to do, and I get it; it's their job. But that's where it's fun to have those individual talks with them off the record and stuff, so you understand. So
Yeah.
I've worked with them, well, with the power line that's going in by Garvin. I drove both routes that they proposed, and I told them which route I thought would be better. I said, "Great, we've had one great big power line come through the county and split the whole county." I says, "Move it a little bit so we don't have to deal with it all." I said, "I know it's going to end up by Garvin, but..." So we found some better routes. We chopped it off some off some land where it had been right in the way for farming, so we put it on right of ways. So it's just been a good. I've enjoyed with it, and like you said today, they knew I was going to ask some tough questions or ask some questions that they may not know, but they all laugh, so that's a good part.
It's good natured, and I think they respect you for it. But this whole robbing Peter to pay Paul thing with solar, with wind,
Yeah.
boy, that's tough when you're talking about all us farmers out here.
Well, that's just it, and I can't argue. I can never argue land rights. It's the person who's having the solar go on it's their right to do. But you also got to look at the people that are living there. What are they going to do with it and stuff? Because they're the ones who are farming it.
Yeah.
I'll be surrounded. No, I'm not surrounded. I'll have 2 sides of my farm will have solar panels on. Well, if you drive from Tracy to Belton, you're going to have just about 2.5 miles where you're going to be driving through nothing but solar panels on both sides.
Not a big fan, are you?
No, not of solar.
No, not of solar.
It just takes up too much land. And with everything that's going on, you got, again, it's land rates, but you got Lessard Sams is looking to buy all this land for wildlife habitat. You got Bowser wanting to put it into CREP or RIM projects, which takes it out of production forever. Now, am I against that? No, I enjoy hunting as much as anybody else, and sometimes you just have to say enough is enough.
Yeah. And the landscape has literally changed
Yes, it
and
has.
will change more
Yep.
for good or better for worse
Yeah.
in the future. Well, I talk about land ownership and living in rural area. we had earlier this summer, we had a meeting concerning the state's proposed, well, no, it's going to go through January 1st repeal of the state shotgun zone, right? We're going to switch for deer hunting.
Right. So here's my understanding on it, Per. On January 1st, the law is right now, if the counties don't want to repeal, they don't have to do anything. But on January 1st, the DNR will reach out to us to ask us, are we going to do rifle or are we going to do shotgun? If we do rifle, there's nothing else. If we do want to stay with shotgun, we have to go through a whole process. We did a little bit early with that public meeting
Yep.
on with pros and cons of it. I think it came out about the way I thought it would be.
It was a great meeting.
It was a great
I thought it
meeting.
was well needed, and there was, 40 hunters,
Yeah.
landowners there, and a lot of them shared their opinions and thoughts.
And a lot of them were positive. No, I knew a lot of people out there that didn't say anything that were against it. So, and after that meeting, we probably got another dozen letters, and it was split again.
Yeah.
So, if I could draw a line through the county and do half and half, I think I could solve this. But that's not going to happen because it just makes it. But it's going to be a bear, and we had it after the meeting. During our reports today. Commissioner Andrews had been up at Morris Alex for the Minnesota Rural Counties Caucus meeting. There are a lot of counties right now that are looking at not doing the rifle,
Okay.
that they're getting a lot of pushback that they want to stay with the shotgun. And I've talked to people, you've got these shotguns that are just as accurate as rifles. You're throwing out a bigger piece of lead, probably not at the speed as a rifle. And people will say, well, a rifle one injures me. Well, I've seen deer shot with a rifle that just didn't go down the first shot either. So it's going to be an interesting conversation.
It already has been. And
Well, it is.
Are you guys going to make a decision in December?
We'll probably wait until that January comes out.
Okay.
And I'm guessing. For me,
I was going to ask, where are you at on this fence?
I've heard enough that I would probably say that I would still stay with shotgun. And even if it goes to rifle, there's nothing that says I still can't hunt with my shotgun. Even though I've hunted 4 years or 5 years with rifle up north, I just enjoy my hunting with the shotgun. So.
And there's the debate had good points on both sides.
Yes, it
We're
did.
talking about thinning the herd. We're talking about generations. My kids, they want to do this or that. Or I just thought I walked away from that meeting very impressed with just the fact that so many hunters and landowners felt free to openly say, this is what I think, this is what I want. Did you walk away with that same feeling from that meeting? Were you
Well,
happy and satisfied?
I think I caught two people telling in the open mic where they said, well, we really want to use that rifle because there might be that chance to get that wall hanger that we wouldn't have got with a shotgun. And I get that. Everybody wants to get those horns and put them on their wall. But when the DNR comes out and says that it's going to be for herd management, I thought, no, this doesn't sound right. So I went back and looked at the records for last year for just Lyon County, which is the zone north of Highway 14.
Right.
There's roughly 650 deer were shot. Out of that 650, 480 of them were bucks. Well, if you're going to control the herd, you got to take more does. That's the only way you're going to get this done. Well, everybody's looking for those antlers. So
The prize.
The prize.
Yep.
So we've got to figure out a better way to manage the herd if we're going to do this.
But that's one of those decisions that now you signed up for this, you ran,
Yeah.
and I
So,
don't.
so I will advocate to the DNR, and I said, you need to change some of this stuff. And maybe we need to do some things like what South Dakota does. You got to earn that right to shoot a buck.
Do you do a lot of hunting in South Dakota or just up north?
I hunted up north for 5 years when my dad got injured, so I
Okay.
was with a friend up there.
And I know Greg hunts with his boys, and
Yep.
that's something that hopefully is not lost on us, that it is a family tradition in a lot of families, and making the changes sometimes doesn't go well.
And with the week-long season, it's made a big difference too. When it was only you had the split season of 2 days and 4 days, roads were always busy with hunters, but now with that week-long season, we just don't see the hunters out there. Of course, I think most of us are aging out too, and I think a lot of us have gone back to bow hunting
Okay.
because I think a lot of people are starting to use. I always call them sniper shacks, but they're just raised stands where you can
Yeah.
sit in and stuff, where it's a little more comfortable. And especially the guys that are a little older, got more time, they're willing to sit out there because it's something to do.
Heck yeah.
So it works out pretty well for them. So
Rick, you are off the hot seat. Thank you for joining us today.
it's been my pleasure, Perry, and thank you for asking.
This week's podcast was brought to you by Southwest Sanitation. Since 1967, the professionals at Southwest Sanitation have brought you reliable and honest service. We offer commercial, rural, and residential services, as well as roll-offs and portable toilets. Call your locally owned and operated neighbors at Southwest Sanitation for all your sanitation needs. 507-532-4500.